The fragility of our global economy is often hidden beneath the waves. Today, the vast majority of international trade relies on a handful of narrow maritime corridors, choke points, where geography and geopolitics collide. Recent crises in the Strait of Hormuz have sent shockwaves through Southeast Asia, threatening crude oil supplies and destabilizing energy security. When one artery clogs, the entire global circulatory system of commerce faces a heart attack. But what if we stopped putting all our eggs in these few turbulent baskets? It is time to look back to move forward. By reviving forgotten maritime paths and investing in emerging corridors, we can reclaim our freedom of trade. History is written by the narrow places. For a century, global trade has relied on a handful of maritime needles: the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, and the Strait of Hormuz. We call them choke points for a reason. When a single ship, the Ever Given, got stuck in the Suez in 2021, it held up $9 billion of trade every single day. But as geopolitical tensions rise in the Middle East and droughts dry up the Panama Canal, the world's biggest economies are no longer content with being choked. They are looking at maps from the 1800s, ancient river systems, and even the melting ice of the north to find a way out. In this episode, we are exploring the forgotten canals, the mega projects that could break the monopoly of the world's current choke points. We are going to look at the Thai Canal, the Ben Gurion Canal, and the revitalization of the rivers of Eurasia. This isn't just engineering. It is a $500 billion bet on redrawing the world map. Let us start with the most famous canal never built, the Kra Canal, or the Thai Canal. Every year, over 80,000 ships pass through the Strait of Malacca between Malaysia and Indonesia. It is the shortest route between the Middle East's oil and Asia's factories. It is also crowded, prone to piracy, and, crucially, controlled by nations friendly to the West. For China, this is a Malacca dilemma. If the strait were closed, their economy would starve of energy in weeks. The solution? A 120-kilometer canal across the narrowest part of Thailand, the Kra Isthmus. A Thai canal would shave 1,200 kilometers and 3 days off the journey. It would bypass the Malacca Strait entirely, but it comes with a $30 billion price tag and a massive geopolitical cost. It would effectively split Thailand in two and shift the balance of naval power in the South China Sea forever. What if the Suez Canal had a competitor? In the 1960s, the United States declassified a plan to use 520 nuclear explosions to carve a canal through Israel's Negev desert. They called it the Ben Gurion Canal Project. While the nuclear part of the plan is long gone, the idea is more alive than ever. This 290-kilometer canal would connect the Gulf of Aqaba to the Mediterranean. Unlike the Suez, which is a single-lane canal prone to blockage, the Ben Gurion is envisioned as a double-lane, deep-water channel capable of handling the largest VLCCs we discussed in last episode. If built, it would strip Egypt of its $9 billion annual revenue from the Suez and give Israel and its allies a literal back door into the Mediterranean that cannot be closed by a single regional power. Now let us look at a forgotten route that is already beginning to move cargo: the International North-South Transport Corridor, or INSTC. This isn't one canal, but a 7,200-kilometer multimodal network connecting India to Russia via Iran. It uses a combination of ships, rail, and the forgotten river systems of the Volga. The goal? To bypass the entire European continent. Instead of sailing from Mumbai through the Suez, around Gibraltar, and up to St. Petersburg, a 45-day journey, cargo goes from India to the Iranian port of Bandar Abbas, then by rail to the Caspian Sea, and finally up into Russia. It cuts the transit time to just 25 days and reduces freight costs by 30%. In the current climate of Western sanctions, this dry canal has become the primary artery for trade between the BRICS nations. The most significant forgotten canal isn't being dug by humans, it's being opened by the sun. The northern sea route along Russia's Arctic coast is the ultimate shortcut. A voyage from Yokohama to Rotterdam via the Suez is 21,000 kilometers. Via the Arctic, it is only 13,000 kilometers. For decades, this was a forgotten route because it was frozen solid. But as Arctic ice thins, Russia is transforming this into a year-round energy superhighway. They are building a fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers, the largest in the world, to ensure that even in winter, the canal of ice stays open. This isn't just about speed, it is about security. There are no pirates in the Arctic. There are no narrow choke points controlled by rival navies. It is the only trade route in the world that Russia can completely control from start to finish. Deep in Eastern Europe, there is a plan to revive a route that hasn't been fully used since the Middle Ages. It is called the E40 waterway. It is a 2,000-kilometer river connection that would link the Baltic Sea at Gdansk to the Black Sea at Kherson. By connecting the Vistula, Pripyat, and Dnieper rivers, it would create a blue corridor through the heart of Europe. Before the current conflicts in Ukraine, this was seen as the missing link for European trade, allowing cargo to bypass the long sail around Western Europe and the Mediterranean. While the project is currently stalled by war and environmental concerns over the Chernobyl exclusion zone, its strategic value remains. It would provide a direct inland route for grain and minerals to reach the global market, protected from the naval blockades we discussed in our previous video. So why does a forgotten canal matter to a marine insurer in London or a trade financier in Singapore? Because risk is a function of geography. When trade is concentrated in one choke point, the accumulation risk is massive. If 150 VLCCs are stranded in the Gulf, as we saw in our maritime insurance video, the insurance market freezes because the exposure is too high in one place. Alternative routes dilute that risk. If 20% of oil moves via the Arctic and 15% moves via the INSTC, a conflict in the Strait of Hormuz is no longer a global extinction event for the economy. However, new routes bring new risks. Arctic shipping requires ice-class hull insurance, which is specialized and expensive. The INSTC involves multiple jurisdictions and rail-to-sea transfers, creating intermodal liability gaps. Underwriters are currently scrambling to write the rulebooks for these forgotten paths. Let us recap this episode. For the last century, we have treated the Suez and Panama canals as if they were permanent features of nature. They aren't. They are choices. As climate change opens the north, as China seeks to escape the Malacca dilemma, and as the INSTC links the global south, the map of world trade is being redrawn. The forgotten canals are being remembered because the cost of being choked has become too high to ignore. Whether it is a $30 billion trench through Thailand or a fleet of icebreakers in the Arctic, the goal is the same: resilience. In the next decade, the most successful companies won't be those with the cheapest routes, but those with the most options. If you want to stay ahead of how geography is changing the business of shipping, please subscribe to Trade and Shipping Explained and follow us at @TNS Explained. Next week, the map of global trade is being redrawn. We're investigating the strategic buyout of foreign ports and what it means for the future of international power. You won't want to miss it. Until then, enjoy your weekend and goodbye for now.